Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the Let's Debrief podcast. I have a guest. We should have said
so
it
familiar.
We should have said it together.
I know, we should have.
Jenna's here.
Hello, everyone.
She's back for one night only. Yeah. We're reunited, and it feels so good.
I know, it really does.
So I'm like, why even wait? just
Let's
jump right
just
into
get
it.
Well, we need to address the rumors.
Oh, yeah.
I feel like whenever I was like, I can't do the podcast anymore, that people were like, are you guys like breaking up like as friends?
Are you guys like okay?
Which is actually so funny. I listened to this one podcast. It's the Am I the Asshole podcast. And he, like the guy who hosts it, has had like 10 co-hosts. Like,
oh my gosh.
He just like kind of cycles throughout it. And I was listening this week. I don't listen that much, but he was like, so we have some bad news. Shannon, who's the co-host right now, he's like, so we are going to be parting ways. He was like, we just are having, I can't remember how he said it. He was like, we're just like disagreeing we're just like disagreeing a lot or something like that. But like, we're still friends. And I was like, that's so awkward that he said that. And she was on with him. She's like, yeah.
Oh. Like it was going to be her last episode?
Yes.
Oh, interesting.
And he was just saying that. And I was like, that I feel bad because like when I was like, I can't do the podcast anymore, I like never like came
addressed the people
on and said it, and like you kind of had to do it. But I was just like mentally not okay.
So
and
take us all the way back to your last episode.
Yes. What was the last episode?
Let me look while you like kind of catch people up. I want to say it was like, I think it was around the time that it was the title episode of like Don't Touch Your Husband for like $50 million.
Oh my gosh, yeah. Like it was like February, I think.
Yeah. Let's see.
Yeah.
Let's Debrief update was February 21st. So your last one was February 14th.
Valentine's Day. Yeah.
Hearts
I have had the hardest, craziest year of my life. And it's so weird because it literally began on December 30th. Like, I can trace it back to the exact day that things started going awry.
That you really took a turn.
Things really took a turn. So I don't even know how to, like, summarize everything. Basically, like, I got pregnant in October. Monty was 10 months. And at the time, it seemed perfect.
It seemed right.
At the time. No. Please, no one take this as like that I like regret anything, because I do not at all. It has just been extremely hard. At the time that I got pregnant was an extremely easy time in parenthood. And I think as a parent, you kind of have this idea that like, oh, as a newborn, it's the hardest. And then progressively things will get easier over time, whether that's like sleep or behavior or like just knowing what to do with them. And unfortunately, that is not true.
That is
unfortunately, but like it is not linear. Like, it's getting easier over time. It is like going in waves.
Yeah.
And so at the time that I got pregnant, it was a very easy time, and it had been getting easier for like the past like few months. And so I kind of in my mind was like, oh, this is the perfect time to get pregnant. The other thing is that I thought to myself, she was not sleeping through the night at that point. But at that point I thought, okay, she's 10 months. Surely 9 months from now,
double the amount of time,
she will be sleeping through the night. Which, that's what this whole thing kind of revolves around, is the sleeping issue.
Yeah.
So also, I guess I should say, like, I don't really want anyone to like give me any advice, because
let's be so clear.
I do not need advice. I have spent thousands of dollars at this point on
every gadget,
classes, sleep coaching, every sleep sack, everything that you can imagine.
Everything that everyone swears by. You've done it.
I have tried everything. I have done taking care of babies. I have done Ferber method. Like, I have done everything please do not come and tell me, well, I just did this for my baby, because it does not work. I just have a bad sleeper. So anyways, basically, like, on December 30th is when she, like, for the longest time, like, she would just wake up and, like, want some milk and go back to sleep. Mm-hmm. And it was fine. And Tanner could also get her. Mm-hmm. On December 30th, don't ask me why. My sister was babysitting her. We had a graduation party for our friend Nachi in Pittsburgh. And like the weeks leading up to this, I had been leaving her with people. They've been putting her down to bed. Everything had been fine. And then this night, like, she just would not go to sleep for my sister. She was freaking out. And then she finally got her to sleep, and she woke up like an hour later freaking out. And she would not let my sister get her. She was just like really like scared. And like the next day, she was super clingy to me. And I was just like, oh, maybe she's like getting sick, like whatever.
Maybe a tooth.
Yes. And like, it wasn't. It was just
the way it was
switch
now.
Flipped.
Yeah.
Like, she could not, like, it has been like, up until recently, I have not gone to the bathroom without her climbing on me and crying, because she was not like sitting on me. Mm-hmm. Literally for the past like 6 or 7 months.
Yeah.
She just became so insanely clingy and so unable to function without me. And like at night, whenever she would wake up, it was no longer like, I just want milk. It was like, I'm screaming bloody murder. And if you do not like wrap your entire body around me and don't leave, like, I cannot handle it. Tanner couldn't go in. No one else could put her to bed. It became that like every nap, like, I had to put her down. She was just like so.
There were nights that you were literally getting either in the crib with her, sleeping on the outside of the crib, like holding her hand.
Yes.
Yeah.
And again, like, I know that people will say like, oh, you like need to like sleep train her or whatever, but it's like, she was sleep trained, and
it was working for a while.
Yes, and she could put herself to sleep. Like, she was going to bed awake in her bed, but it was just the waking up. And she like started waking up and doing split nights. She was like awake for 3 or 4 hours in the middle of the night. And again, like, Tanner couldn't get her. I mean, he could, I guess, but like, I would still be awake listening to her scream. Mm-hmm. And that was worse than just going in and laying with her or rocking her or whatever. Anyways, that just took a huge toll on me mentally. Obviously, anyone like knows being super sleep deprived, like, you're just so not yourself. Yeah. You can't think straight. And then at the same time, then it would be the daytime, and like, I couldn't literally stand up and walk to the other room without her screaming, because she wanted me to hold her. And she was just miserable too. And I was just like, what's going on? It's the middle of winter, of course. There's like nothing to do. Mm-hmm. And then like, we started like then I started taking her places. Mm-hmm. And then we started getting sick all the time. It was like 4 or 5 illnesses, like one after the other, mixed in with her getting like all of her teeth. She was a late teether. So it was like just absolute misery for like literally the past. So it was like from the beginning of the year until like May. Yeah. And then at that point I was 8 months pregnant, and she's starting to
getting down to the wire.
Yeah. So like now she's like starting to get a lot better, but like now I'm starting to get worse, because I'm like, okay, I'm like so hot and like huge, and like, she still like is definitely like a mama's girl and like wanted me to like carry her. And it would be like, okay, I don't even want to go to the park, because I don't want to have to carry you and like be so pregnant. And then of course, like all of the things that come with pregnancy, just like the aches and pains. You're also not sleeping super well because you're super pregnant. You have to pee. There's just like a lot going on. And it just like took such a huge toll on me. Yeah. Like,
so if anyone couldn't put that together, that was all happening. Yes. And then you were like, I can't meet up for the podcast because I got an hour of sleep last night.
Yes. It was literally like you texted me that I think you were going on a trip or something, and you were like, we need to record like within the next like 3 or 4 days. And I was just like, Ashley, I can't.
I'm
like,
knocking on death's door.
Can't. And that's the other thing is like talking about like when we were getting sick. Like I was also sick.
Oh, it
so
took out
like,
the whole family.
Yeah. So it would be like Tanner was sick. So he was not feeling good either. I was super sick, which should be literally illegal whenever you're a mom. And then she's sick, so she needs me more than ever. Mm-hmm. But I am also dying and
sick, pregnant. Yeah.
Yes. So overall, just like a very hard year. And then like now leading up to, I'm like, oh, now I'm like having another child. Mm-hmm. And now I have to like figure that out. Mm-hmm. So that has been my 2024.
It's basically just been battling sleep with Monty.
Yes. And just battling like, and I don't want it to sound like I'm like, oh, there have not been like very amazing and like joyful moments. And like, again, she's doing like a lot better. I don't want to say she's doing a lot better with sleep. That is still very hit or miss, but
that's the thing where it's like no advice is needed, because you've been saying, like, you'll text me and be like, I'm not going to jinx it. 3 nights in a row. She slept through the night. I'm so excited. And then it's like the next night it's like whatever. And you're like, there's no correlation.
There's no correlation ever. And it's just, yeah. Also, like, hopefully, like, if that can be anything, like, to any other moms who are struggling with sleep, there have been a few people who have been like, oh, really? Like, your toddler also doesn't sleep? Well, that makes me feel better, because everyone makes it seem like their kid is sleeping through the night by, like, 4 months. And, like, if yours isn't, then you're, like, doing something wrong.
Yeah, or something's wrong with your kid.
Oh, okay. Yeah. So, what was I saying?
Things have gotten better.
Things have gotten better. And yeah, I don't want it to seem like I'm just like, oh, it's been like horrible. But like, that's kind of my explanation of why I left the podcast. But also that has been reality for me.
Yeah.
And I think that's okay. And like, it is also good to acknowledge that like being a mom is not like super easy. There's really, really hard things. And like, it obviously is like refining me and like getting me to a place where like when I'm older, like I'm going to have so much more wisdom because I went through these things, and just there is good that is coming from it. And there have been so many amazing moments throughout all of that struggle, but it has been very hard.
Yeah. Just calling it what it is.
Yes. And one more thing.
Okay.
I've been reading this book called Hard Is Not the Same as Bad, and it's a mom of 10 who wrote it. It is the best book I've ever read. She just reframes like everything about like the hard things of parenting, like how they are being used for good, and like how it's not the same as bad. Like it's not bad that she is not sleeping. It is just hard.
And it like at some point she like, I mean, anyone can say this. It's like, it might be 16 years down the road. Like she will sleep like at some point. And it's like right now that just is your reality.
Yeah. And like, she's only 20 months. Like she's not
still
even
a little
2.
girl. Yeah. She's a little baby still.
So it's just like, it's at such a hard time where I can't ask her why she's not sleeping. Like I was talking to our friend Shayla, who you've had on the podcast recently, and
friend of the pod.
Yes, she her daughter is almost a year older than Monty, and she has just been starting to do really well with sleep. And she was saying that she will tell her like, hey, if you stay in your bed all night, then we can do this. And it's like, I can't do that, nor can I even ask her what's wrong.
Yeah, I
have no way of knowing if her stomach is hurting, if her like, I don't know. I have no clue what's going on. So it's like every single time that I hear her, it's like I can't just go in and say like, hey, honey, it's
what's
okay.
Wrong?
Go back to sleep. Or like, oh, your stomach's hurting. Like, you can do this. She also won't sleep in our bed. So that's another hard
That's what I was also going to say is when you said like, don't tell me to sleep train because I've tried. I'm like, also don't say, just bring her into bed. That's where she belongs anyways.
I would do that.
You're like, I do it in a heartbeat. I think we've said this before. She's not a snuggly baby.
No. And Silas seems to not be either.
That's so funny.
It's very strange, but yeah. So anyways, that's my spiel.
That's the spiel. So we didn't break up.
We didn't.
Well, as friends, at least.
Yes. We still talk every day.
Literally every day. I'll just like call it out now. There was someone that wrote in and was like, are you guys still friends? And I was like, the fact that you're asking that is hilarious, that she's coming on the podcast. And I'm like, if you just think that we hate each other. And I'm like, well, okay, Jenna, can you just like come on for this like 1 week? Because like people are like, we're asking.
People are like, they're asking questions. We
and
need
just
to
like,
keep
let's
it
go
up.
fake it for like one day.
Yeah.
And like get it over with.
Yeah. But now Ashley's pregnant too, which
Oh
is
yeah.
crazy.
Okay, I want to ask you like, well, because Jenna was like one of the only people, honestly, I feel like I was really open with about like when we were going to start trying and everything. And so you were on to me and like knew like, but what was your reaction? If you don't follow me on Instagram, I posted like a video.
Oh yeah.
And Jenna and Tan's reaction was in it. What was like your initial thoughts?
I obviously knew that they were trying, but the first month it was negative test. And I did this to her too, which I don't know why I didn't like catch on, but also like I don't know, fertility is just such like a thing now.
Yeah.
Lately, like so many people struggle with it, and so like she had always like said to me like, I don't think I'm gonna have trouble getting pregnant, but I'm so nervous that what if I do? Like
You just don't know until you don't know. Yeah.
And I feel like I just like wanted to be like sensitive to that. So like whenever you told me like it was a negative test this month, I was like, oh, that sucks. Like you're probably upset. And I remember like saying like, how is Cole feeling about it? Like I just believed you because I was like, I don't like want to question it almost,
yeah.
you know?
Well, you also don't want to set yourself up if it like really was negative to
be
then
like,
be like,
no
sure it was.
way. Yeah. But I remember like being like, I remember this sounds so creepy, but I remember whenever like the first month you were like, I'm ovulating, and it was like a certain day. So then I knew the next month it was like around that similar time.
Which she was really spot on.
And I think I remember texting you like, are you ovulating this week or something?
Literally.
And so I knew when it would be that you would have like known, or like when that time had passed. And I was like, oh, she didn't say anything. So like she probably
I'm not
isn't.
going to bring it up.
Yeah, because I don't want to be like, are you pregnant? And you're like, no, I'm bawling my eyes out.
Yeah.
So then whenever you like told us, I mean, I was honestly really
surprised.
I was really surprised.
Well, yeah, because...
But I knew it was coming obviously soon, but I was like very surprised that it actually was that month.
Yeah, because I said this in my first episode back, but like we tried the first month and it was negative. And then, and like I told Jenna that, and I don't think I sent you a negative test, but I was very like, it was negative, like I'm okay, like, and then like I guess she knew like the second time around, and then she was like
tracking
literally was tracking, and then afterwards I was like, oh, like when I actually got a positive test, I said I got my period, and then the following month when I was like 6 weeks pregnant, she texted me and was like, okay, so like, are you ovulating? And I was like, we were leaving on our Pacific Northwest trip. And so I was like, I can't do this anymore. Like I need to tell her, like, and we knew we weren't going to see you guys. And so I was like, let's just try to FaceTime them.
I remember you FaceTimed me and I didn't answer.
Yeah.
And I couldn't, and even then I was like, she's not like, she just wants to like talk or something.
Yeah. Which is so funny. Like as friends, I feel like a lot of people are like, oh, I'd always rather get on the phone or like whatever. We are always texting. I feel like it's like, it's probably been under 20 times that we've ever called each other and talked for like a long time.
I feel like we always call when it's the four of us.
Yes.
Or
like,
Peter.
Yes.
But always like on the way home from weddings, Tam was like, let's call Colin.
Yeah. It is
Especially
fun.
if we're both shooting a wedding that day.
Yeah,
we're like, so what was your wedding?
Yeah, I agree. And that was like Tanner, like I'd called you and you didn't answer. And then I think Cole had called Tanner and he didn't answer. And then he was calling back and we were like, oh, okay. And like
the feeling of telling people is so...
gets my heart rate up. Like,
I know.
And then the minute it's over, I'm like, oh, thank God.
It's like no other feeling. It's like, did I do something wrong?
Literally.
But also exciting. But you're like, oh my God, why do I feel like they're going to be mad?
Literally. Telling both of our parents, my heart was like pounding out of my chest. And I'm like, I'm literally 25 and married. Like, why am I nervous about this?
Because they know what you did.
They know what I've done.
They
The
know
sins
how
I've
it
committed.
happened. I remember whenever I told my parents that I was pregnant again, and my mom was like, "You're pregnant?"
You?
I was like, "Yep."
She's like, I thought this would be a one and done situation.
Well, she knew I wanted a lot of kids. I think they were just very surprised how soon it was.
I remember the video of them, like, because it was with Monty's shirt, and just the slow look up. She was like,
"Oh."
what? Wow, you weren't kidding.
You do want a big family.
Okay, you had a baby.
Yeah.
Okay, there was some, do you want to get into questions, or do you want to talk about that? Because there were people that asked, like, how was your epidural experience and everything?
I can just talk about it, and if you want to pepper the questions in, if I need to. Hold on, I'm going to take a sip of my water. Sorry, everyone.
Little sippy.
Yeah, I just had a baby, which it feels so crazy because, like, I remember telling Monty's birth story. I was like, it was so emotional to me because it was so hard, and like, me saying hard is not the same as bad. It was bad.
It was awful.
So bad. And having this experience, I'm like, oh, wow, it can be so much better than it was. Which I don't want to say it's like all because of the epidural, but like it was just such a better experience in general. So if you haven't listened before, there is a birth story episode. I think it's like the 6th episode or 5th.
Yeah, it's very, very, it's to this day still the #1 listened to episode.
Really?
Yeah, the people love it. They love hearing you suffer.
Yeah, so I planned a home birth. It didn't go well. It was bad.
Ended in a hospital transfer.
Yes.
And go back and listen to it.
Lots of pain was involved. So this one, my biggest thing was like, I just don't want to feel the pain.
A single thing.
Not even feel a single thing. Like, so they pulled her out with forceps, and that was what I didn't want to feel again. Because that was very traumatizing to feel it like happening. So, also, if you are not a long-term listener, I am a recovering crunchy. So that was also why like that situation happened. So
Recovering.
So I kind of found a middle ground. You know, I was going with the midwives at McGee. It's in Pittsburgh. Great place. It's top notch. So I was like, I don't want to feel it. I also didn't want to feel any cervical checks because that was extremely painful to me in the past, especially from the person who did it in the hospital, who, again, I don't know if that was just like super painful because they were not doing it correctly.
Did they even have like a maternity ward or anything?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
They had midwives even there.
That's crazy.
I
That's
got
what
the
I've
high risk guy when I came in.
Okay. That's what I always just thought, is that they were not trained like to deliver babies at all.
No, they were. Latrobe Hospital is not.
So that's why you went there.
Yes.
Gotcha.
Anyways, so I started having should I just start saying the story?
Yeah.
I started having contractions at like 1 a.m.
How many days overdue were you?
At this point, 7.
Okay.
I started having contractions at 1 a.m. They were like 10 minutes apart. And it's so weird because I remember being like, I have no idea what a contraction feels like. I can't remember. I don't know if I'm going to know I'm in labor. And I had like period cramps a lot, like leading up to that. And like almost every night for like the past month, I'm like, am I in labor? But then I wasn't.
Do you feel like it's really true that your brain like blocks it out? Like the trauma of it in some ways?
I think so, yeah. But then when I felt it again, I was like, oh yeah, this is it.
This
like,
is familiar.
For sure.
Yeah.
So I was having them like 10 minutes apart, and it's so funny. This has actually been a point of contention with me and Tanner lately because he is having a lot of trouble with not like rousing out of sleep, and like he's being very like, he'll say like if he's waking up with Silas, like he'll like say stuff that I'm like, are you okay to like be with him? Like the other night he was saying, where are my sunglasses? And I'm like, okay. But so I told him, Tanner, I'm in labor, but I need you to keep sleeping because Like, I don't know what's going to happen. So keep sleeping, but I'm in labor. And then in the morning, it's like 7 a.m. I'm like, I don't know if I should call my parents to come over or what. He's like, why? I'm like, because I'm in labor. He's like, what? And I'm like, I told you so many times in the night that I was in labor.
Did he ever like acknowledge you? Like, oh,
Yeah,
okay.
yeah,
Okay, he would talk back.
Yeah, fully. He's like, oh my God, Jenna, yay. And then he's like, are you okay? Do you need anything? I'm like, no, I'm good. They are really far apart. Like, I'm fine. And I'm like, just go back to sleep. And then in the morning, he's like, what the heck? Anyways, they were still like very far apart in the morning. So I was like chilling, hanging out with Monty and everything. Very emotional about leaving Monty.
Yeah.
I also have never left her overnight. And also, going back to what I was saying about the sleep, very nervous about that.
Yeah, because I mean, to like, correct me if I'm wrong, at this point, no one else had put her down to bed since the incident, right?
No, my dad had put her down for all of our May weddings. So that kind of led up to it, which was good. But she had never like woken up. Like, I had never like stayed the night away from her. So I was very, very nervous. And also, of course, just very emotional. Like, this is my baby. And like, I'm leaving to go have another. And she has no idea what's going on. And like, I'm about to leave her for the first time ever and then come back and everything's going to be different for her. Like, I was so emotional. Mm-hmm. Anyways, so luckily I was able to wait until I put her down for her nap and then we left for the hospital. Contractions were still like pretty far apart and like they were like intense, but not to the point where I couldn't like breathe through them. And so I put her down for a nap. My dad got here and I was just like sobbing. And he's like, Jenna. I'm like, my baby. But
it's hard knowing that like the minute I walk out the store, like nothing in our lives is going to be the same again.
Yeah. And like she just, life is going to be different for her and for me. And our relationship will change. And it does. And it sucks. But it's also good. Mm-hmm. It's been really good for her. Mm-hmm. I think that has really helped her to grow and be less clingy, honestly. Because forced it. It forced it, but she's happier.
Yeah.
She's so much happier. Anyways, so we go in the car, and a big prayer of mine was that I didn't want to be panicked, and I really wanted the car ride to be okay. Because with Monty's, like, my water was broken. I was in transition. I had been in labor for 60 hours. I was screaming, trying to punch through the window. It hurt so bad. I wanted to go to the hospital early enough that it was like peaceful and like okay. And it was great. I had like contractions in the car, but it was fine. We literally stopped at Sheets because I knew I was getting an epidural. Once you get it, you can't eat. So I was like, I gotta get my snacks. Yeah. People were asking what I got.
Yeah, what was the?
I got a snack wrap, I should say.
Snack.
Nerds clusters.
I saw those on your bedside afterwards. I was like, oh, those look delicious.
Oh yes, a Body Armor, fruit tropical punch flavor, of course, and gum.
Okay.
So we went to Sheets, then we went there, and because I was overdue, like, they were like, we're just taking you right up. Like, we don't have to, like, even do, like, triage. Like, we don't have to do anything. Like, I was 8 days now overdue. So they're like, okay, we're going to take you up. So my midwife came in. She's like, okay, I know you don't want to do cervical checks before the epidural, so we're going to get your epidural in, and then I'll come back. And I'm like, okay. So they came, they did it. Is there a question about it?
Someone says, what did the epidural feel like? Did it hurt to get it placed? Were you totally numb? Did you have the shakes? How was recovery?
Wow. It barely hurts to get it in. I mean,
compared to what you are already experiencing.
Yeah, I mean, if you're in labor at all, even early labor, it's not even as bad as like that at all. It literally just feels like you're getting a shot in your back. I know. I don't actually really even know. I know they put a catheter into your spine. Ooh. It's like a big needle with a catheter inside, like a tube. and they put it in, and then they pull the needle out, and it's just the tube going into your spine.
Okay.
It didn't feel like anything bigger than like just a normal shot.
I
mean,
feel like
it takes a minute and you have to sit still, but like...
Yeah, and I feel like a lot of people get freaked out because it goes into your spine. I mean, I would get freaked out. Like, that's understandable.
I think people also get freaked out because it's like a big needle, but like you can't see it, first of all.
Yeah.
And second of all, you're going to be begging for it.
You're going to be wanting that thing.
I remember I was shooting with Summer once. She shot Ashley's wedding.
Yes.
She's a photographer friend. She's younger, and she was like, I'm afraid, like, I don't know if I like can have a baby because of the needle they put in your back. And I was like,
oh honey,
you want the needle. By the time you're experiencing that, you're gonna be wanting it. But anyways, what else did they say? Did you get the shakes?
Were you totally numb?
Yes.
Like legs, hips down and everything?
Yes.
Wow.
It is
How
crazy.
do they do it?
Yeah, I will share more like throughout the story, but I had a good epidural allegedly. So
felt real nice.
Anyways, they give me the epidural, and yeah, you're numb, like hips down basically, which that is like the big downfall of it is like you can't move. And especially for like people who want to push in like different positions. I didn't really ask.
That's actually weird. I didn't think about that.
Yeah, I've heard of people who like will push like kind of more in an upright position, like hands and knees almost, but like people will have to like hold them up basically. And if that's important to you, then like definitely voice that. But I didn't really care at that point. I was just like, whatever's gonna happen is gonna happen. But yeah, so they gave it to me. I was totally numb, and they do like different positions with you while you're laboring. So they like, depending on like where they feel that baby is, like they would put like a ball in between my legs and like put my like feet curved in for a while, and then they would come and flip me and like do a different thing where like the ball was in between my feet now. And I think it helped. Once she came and checked me, like I had already progressed to a 7.
Yeah, you don't know what you were when you got there?
No, because I didn't do the cervical check.
Okay.
After I got the epidural, she was in a birth for like a while.
Oh, okay.
And then she finally came and she's like, oh, you're at a 7.
And you got on Pitocin too.
Yes. Sorry, I forgot to add that. She was like, we don't know how long like it'll be since your contractions are so really far apart. If you want to speed it up with like the lowest dose of Pitocin we can. If you don't want to, that's also totally fine. Like, just, she was very much like, we work for you. You are going to tell us what to do today. Like, we are not here to like bully you. And they were all so like in tune with my past birth. Like they had all like talked about it. It was like in their charts. Like every single person was like
from your appointments.
Yes.
Oh,
they were
wow.
like, even the nurses were like, this experience will not be like your last experience. We are here for you. Like everyone was so incredible. So anyways, I was like, okay, yeah, we can just do the lowest dose of Pitocin because I just like wanted it to like be as fast as possible. Like I'm thinking about Monty. I'm like, I don't want to be here for 3-4 days.
Yeah.
My labor with her was like basically 3 days long almost. So I'm like, yeah, I'm not going to feel it. So let's just like speed it up.
And boy, did it.
It literally did, which again, I didn't feel anything. So I don't even know, like, I remember like asking the nurse, like after she came in and like I was at a 7 and I had been like sleeping. I was like, how far apart are my contractions? She's like, they're about 2 minutes apart.
That's crazy.
And I was like, really? She's like, yeah. And I was just like, all right, I'm going back to sleep.
I guess I'll go back to sleep then.
Like,
Clearly nothing's happening.
It was so crazy. And then like she came back and she's like, you're at a 9. I was like, how far apart are the contractions? She's like, they're like 1 minute apart. And I was like,
because like she can just see it like on the screen.
Yeah,
That's crazy.
And I was just like, oh my God, okay. Then she came back in, or when she said I was at a 9, she's like, do you want me to break your water? And I was like, sure.
Get in there. Can't feel nothing.
Didn't feel anything. And then she was like, just let me know when you ready to push, like you'll know. And I was like, okay. So then at that point I had like literally been sleeping, watching The Office, just like chilling. And then at that point, like me and Tanner woke up and I was like, I'm going to put makeup on. And I literally like put my makeup. I mean, it wasn't a lot, but I just like freshened up a bit. And then I was like, okay. I hear him waking up. Freshened up a bit, and then she was like, okay. I was like, okay, I feel the pressure, I'm ready to push. And she came in and I was pushing on my side,
okay,
with like my leg up, and it was so peaceful. It was literally dark. There was only my midwife and the nurse in there with me, and then Tanner,
because it's like at this point like 3 a.m.
Yes.
Okay.
And it was just like so peaceful, so calm. And they were like, you're getting, like, we see the head, like it's coming. And it was like literally after a minute of pushing. So I was like, wow, this is great. Because with Monty, I pushed for like multiple hours.
Yeah.
So then out of nowhere, I just hear the loudest crash of my life. And I look over and I see Tanner fell on the ground, fainted.
Yeah.
And I was just like, what
is going on?
Because like, again, with Monty, it was like very gruesome, a lot of blood, like very scary. And he was like on it. Like he was like not even fazed by it. Like he was just there. And this was like so calm. I don't think there was like much blood at all yet. Like I was still just pushing. If anything, it was like just like fluid with like maybe some blood in it.
Maybe from breaking the water.
Yeah. And yeah, so he just passed out. So immediately they start being like, code something, like get people in here. And like the lights turn on and like all these nurses are running in the room. And he's of course like, I'm fine. Like immediately. He
jumps back up.
Yeah, immediately. He's like, I'm fine. Like, and he's like, Jenna, I'm sorry. And I'm like, I don't care. Like, it's literally fine. Like, I didn't even like, I felt like locked in with my midwife. I was like, you're good. Like, if you
got
need
him.
to take a minute, like, you're fine. And he, like, they're just like grabbing him, like trying to take him down to the ER. Like, he did like smack his head on the ground. Like, he fell.
But he didn't crack it or anything, did he?
No, but he just fell like straight backwards.
And he says it's the smell of the blood.
Yeah, so I guess he smelled the blood and it reminded him of Monty's birth, and that's why it happened. Sorry, I need to take a sip.
A little sippy. She's been talking so much.
So that happened, and I'm just like kind of like laughing, and like also at the same time my midwife's like, okay, Jenna, like stay with me, like keep pushing. And I'm like, okay. And at that point she's like, okay, baby's heart rate is dropping like a lot, like we need to get him out right now. And I was like, okay.
You're like, I'm trying.
A lot of people, like, again, like the crunchies would argue like, well, if you didn't get the epidural, then this wouldn't have happened. Or like, it is normal for their heart rate to drop when they're in the birth canal, whatever. I don't care. So she was like, we need to like either get vacuum or forceps, which is what happened last time. But I was like, thank God I'm numb because I don't feel anything. So literally like everything's happening with Tanner. All the lights are on. All these nurses are like coming and getting him, and he's like trying to get back to me. And then like finally he gets right to me. And then right whenever he gets to me, she's like calling another code for like the vacuum.
Okay.
And it's just like literally insane in there. This is all happening genuinely within the span of 2 minutes. And the vacuum comes, she pulls him out, puts him on my chest, and he was here. And I was just
and that was the end of the dramatics.
I was laughing so hard when they put him on me. And I was just like, what the heck just happened? And it was such a funny like ending to it all, because just leading up to it was just like literally all I can remember is it just being so dark and like peaceful. And then like that was just so crazy, but it was so fast. And I also was just like laughing because I was like, I feel like I didn't even do anything. Like I
feel like I cheated.
Literally. I feel like I cheated so hard. So then afterwards, this is what I was saying about like whenever they said like, oh, you have a good epidural, because my placenta wouldn't come out. And so they had to like manually
like push on your
it.
stomach.
No, like they had to like scrape it out basically and push at the same time. And I could feel the pressure of it, but I couldn't like feel the pain. And it took them a while to do it. And it was just like, it was freaking me out, like kind of knowing what was happening. And at one point I heard her say to like the other girl, she's like, wow, she has a really good epidural.
She can't feel nothing.
Yeah, because like apparently it's extremely painful. But I was like,
that
whatever.
Anesthesiologist dialed you in.
Apparently, like she killed it. But yeah, that happened. But I was very, very, very thankful for the epidural. I feel like it erased my birth trauma.
That's so nice. And that will be your birth plan from here on out.
Absolutely. I will give birth at McKee again and again.
Yeah, it's worth the hour drive.
Midwives and just how respectful they were of me too. Like just like so kind, and all the nurses were so amazing, and they're all like girls our age.
Yeah.
And like there was like so many times that like they were just in there, like I was like, oh, how long have you been with your boyfriend? Like we're just like talking.
Just
it was so fun and like not scary, not panicky. It was so peaceful.
I like in my appointments I've been going to McGee, like just like staying in like the McGee like group, not like specifically the midwives at McGee. I bounced around a little bit in the beginning because I didn't know how it worked, but now I've like gotten settled with just like the UPMC office in like Monroeville. And the lady I was going to, or like am going to, is a midwife but is also an OBGYN. And okay. I said to her, I was like, this is what I'm hoping for. Like, and the first time I went to like the Natrona Heights like office, like this nurse like pulled us aside, and I think I told you this, and like talked to us for like a half hour of like going through this pamphlet that she didn't need to. She could have just given it to us and let us go. And she was just like, drugs exist for a reason. Don't be a hero. Just take the drugs. And it was like definitely like being very forceful. And I was like, okay, well, I don't like that.
Yeah.
But then I was talking to the new like OBGYN I had been seeing. And I was like, these are my hopes. And she was like, McGee is like so respectful and like honoring of like those things. Just make that clear to them. They will respect. If you change your mind, they'll pivot with you too. And then, so she had told me that. And I think that was like a few weeks before you gave birth, but you had already really liked your midwife's at McGee like experience to fully see like you give birth and like then them be as amazing as this like woman claimed that they were. I was like, oh, okay, nice.
Literally every person I've talked to who's given birth there is like shouting their praises. Like they were so amazing. And also, yeah, I mean, there are benefits to both births, whether it's medicated or unmedicated. And like, this is just like what worked for me specifically. And I still think that like giving birth unmedicated or at home is like amazing and safe and beautiful, and like, yeah, it's definitely the right choice for a lot of people. So like, don't let me saying like,
this is not an attack at like home births.
Yeah, I just like loved not having to feel those things, specifically after I had such a painful experience the first time.
Yeah.
So it was such a good experience. I did have the shakes.
Oh, okay.
But I was also just like cold.
Yeah.
You can like feel, so like the epidural, like it releases medicine like every 45 minutes, I think. It's like when you get to the end of that 45 minutes, like you can kind of like tell a little bit.
It's like you can feel a contraction.
Maybe like not like feel it, but like you could like maybe feel like a little tightening, like almost like a Braxton Hicks. Like it's not painful, but like you could maybe just feel a little bit. And then but when it would release the medicine, you would like kind of get like cold and like shaky.
Oh. Yeah, that makes sense though.
But
okay,
who cares?
So that's your birth story. What's his name? Everyone knows his name.
Silas Conrad. We chose the name like literally when he was born. Like it was not even on our list.
Silas?
It was, I mean, it was on our list, but like the two names that we were between are Samuel,
yeah,
and Leo.
Yeah.
Like going into the birth.
Well,
we were like, it's between Sam and Leo.
We brought you guys, or we brought Tanner, I guess, like blankets and pillows, and us, like me, Cole, and Peter were like just hanging out with Tanner in the waiting room for a little bit, like once you were already in labor. And I was like, so like, what do you think? And he was like, probably Samuel.
Yeah.
Like, but we knew that like Silas had been talked about at one point.
Yes. And we had, I shared this on like an Instagram story. Someone asked, like, we had like a good bit of names that we had like liked. Even like I remember when we did the pregnancy episode, I think when I said I was pregnant, I remember being like, we're probably definitely going to use this name as Ezra.
Oh, you said that.
No.
But
that's
what you said.
It was
like
Ezra, and that just like left so fast.
Didn't you meet one and you were like,
I met the dad of one, and I was like, oh, so this is the type of person that uses that name. But I do know a lot of people who've used that name who are normal and great. But yeah, Silas was not like really on the radar at that point, and then we just pivoted last minute.
Silas Conrad.
Yep.
So yeah, I was gonna go into Conrad, but I don't feel like it's that important.
Yeah, it's just a family name.
All right, you ready to get into questions?
Yes.
All right. First question, a heavy hitter says, "How's breastfeeding going this time around?"
Oh man. Again, I feel like I have to give like backstory of what happened with Monty. So with her, I had an oversupply, and so like whenever she would try to latch, like it would be like way too much for her, and she would be like gagging, and
it'd be like a fire hose.
Yes, like I could see if I unlatched her, like it would literally be squirting out onto her face like so fast, and it was just like wild. And so I ended up exclusively pumping with her, and like I was just telling Ashley
9 months.
Yeah.
Okay.
I was just telling Ashley, like, I would pump, like, it would be too much for the pump. Like, I would have to dump it out and get more. Like, I had so much milk. This time, I don't fully know what happened, but, like, I don't have milk. Like, I have some, but it's just, like, not a lot at all. It never came in the way that it did with Monty. And so,
and this boy's hungry.
Yeah, like the pediatrician originally was like, boys are just like really hungry. So like if you need to like give him a bottle after you nurse him, like that's okay. And so I was like, okay. So I would nurse him, and then I would like give him a bottle, and he was little and he would like drink the whole thing. And I was like, okay, like did you get anything from nursing? But I could see that like he would have like milk on his face, or like I could hear him swallowing. So I was like, okay, I don't know. And then like as like more time went on, I was just like, I just don't know. So then like, and I know that like they say like a pump gets like less milk than like the baby does, but knowing how much I would pump with Monty, like 10 ounces. So then I would like try to pump, and I would get like 1 ounce from like both boobs, like total. It's like a half ounce per boob. And I was just like, what the heck? I also feel like it didn't like ever look how it did with her. Like when it came in with her, I was like, holy crap, I look like I got a boob job. And this, like it never, like it got a little bit bigger, but it was never how it was.
Interesting.
With her. And also it took like, I remember like, we went to 4th of July, which was like 4 days after he was born. And like, I was like, yeah, my milk still isn't in yet. And then we went the next day and ate leftovers. And I was like, yeah, I still don't think my milk is in. And he was like latching great and stuff. Anyways, so he was nursing like well, but like he was doing well, like on the boob, but like, I just don't think he was getting that much. And then after a while, he started like getting like really fussy on the boob, and like he was just like seeming like he wasn't getting that much. So I just like started like pumping here and there, but I just am like, is it worth it to give him 1 ounce of milk? Like maybe 3 ounces a day. I don't know. So anyways, I've been using donor milk, which I've been very blessed by so far.
Do you want to tell people about the Facebook group if they need to use it as a resource?
Yes, I don't know, like, if maybe you could, like, link it somehow, but there is a Facebook group. It's called, like, Human Milk or something like that. Like, something weird. But there's, like, it's, like, Western PA specific. So I think there's, like, groups all over, I'm guessing, America. But you just post what you need, and other people post donations. And people donate a ton of milk. Like, my friend who told me about it, she just never wanted to breastfeed, and she fed her daughter exclusively breast milk for a year.
That's
from
crazy.
This group.
And correct me if I'm wrong, like almost all of it's free, right? Like people are just
yeah.
like, oh, like
No,
if you can just swing by.
That's the rule of the group.
Oh, really?
Some people
Good.
ask for like bags or like pump parts, which I'm like, sure.
Yeah.
If you need
Come
that.
and get mine.
Yeah. I like the first girl who donated to me, I was like, I need to give you something. Like, I just wrote her a card, but I was like, I know how much this like takes.
Yeah, like,
to, like,
thank you so
pump
much.
this much. But then we were talking about it later too, and it's like, if that was me and I had extra to give, of course I would want to donate it to someone's baby. Like, you're not like, I'm gonna make money off of this. You know? But yes, I've been really, really lucky to have donor milk so far, and he's doing really good. I mean, he has he has not had like any issues besides the extreme hunger.
Yeah. Just being a hunger boy.
Just being the hungriest boy ever. But yeah, so that has been what's going on with the breastfeeding. I mean, I still like probably could nurse him, but again, I'm just like, is it worth it? And I know that people will be like, oh, well, if you nurse more, then your supply will increase and like blah, blah, blah. And it's just like, I know that, but it's like extremely hard to just like sit on the couch all day nursing a baby whenever I have another one who wants my attention. And I guess like this time around, it doesn't feel so like emotional as it did with her. Just like, I'm sitting here and bonding with my baby. It's so cute. It's like, well, someone else is screaming at me to read a book, and I don't really want to do this right now either. Like, it would be easier if Tanner could give him a bottle right now.
Yeah.
So that's where we're at.
That's where we're at. Well, that's a good transition into the next one. It says, greatest advice for 2 under 2. We found out we're expecting our second this March. The age gap is, the age gap will be 17 months. So a little less than Monty and Silas. Trying to prepare as much as I can.
Congrats. I feel like my best advice is like nothing practical. Just like know that, like whatever you are nervous about, like it will be fine.
It will come true.
Whatever you're nervous about will happen. I was so nervous about the transition, especially with the clinginess that I talked about. And the first few days were so hard. Anytime I would hold him or nurse him, like she would just like climb on me and like cry and like try to hug me. And it was just so heartbreaking. And I was just like so emotional over it. And that was then it. Like it was a few days. And then she started to like realize like, oh, he's here, and like started loving him, being obsessed with him. Like just everything that I like was scared of, it just simply, like, even if it did happen, it just faded. So like just with anything, I'm sure since you already have a baby, like, you know, this with anything in motherhood, it's like everything is just a phase, and like the good and the bad, whatever comes is going to pass, whether it's like the jealousy or just like the transition is hard of like, how do I get in the car with both of them? And like I'm still working through a lot of those things. Like when I pull into the house and they're both in the car, like who do I get out first, and how do I make it so that no one is upset? Things like that it's like you have to like work out over time. But I think, yeah, my biggest advice is just, it's going to be fine, especially with 17 months apart. It's like you can't really prepare them. You can read them a book about being a big brother or sister, but it's like they don't know or care. And it kind of just has to be right in the moment. They see the baby's there and you're on the ground running. Something that someone said that like made me feel better too is like, she will never know like a life without him. Yeah. And like, even though these times are like hard, and there's still hard moments where like I'm holding him and she gets upset, and it's like, even though that's happening, like she's not going to remember it.
No.
She's going to just know when she's a senior and he's a junior that like they get to both be at prom together or something. I don't know. Like,
he will just always be her little brother.
yeah. And like, I mean, I don't know. It's hard because like people have different worldviews, but I think that like having close siblings is like one of the best things you can do for your kids. I mean, you have I'm close to my siblings,
you and
but
Julia
they are
are
big age gaps.
Yeah, you and Julia are like an anomaly. I feel like, but it's not very common to be 7 years apart and be that close.
Yes, but like I think I said this actually on my pregnancy episode, but I feel like I am so happy that even though these days are hard and like I'm not sleeping and like whatever, that like maybe Monty can help Silas watch his kids when they are older, or like maybe she'll be best friends with his wife or vice versa, or like maybe they'll have like family dinner nights. Like that type of thing is like makes it all worth it, because I'm like
thinking long game here.
Yes, like this is, and people will say like the Thanksgiving dinner thing like too, and I agree with that, but it's like I want them to have each other too.
Yeah.
And whatever other children we have.
Yeah.
I just think it'll be so good. Our siblings are all really far age gaps, so I still like love them and I'm close with them, but it's just like, man, I really wish that I had a sibling who had a 2-year-old who lived down the street and we could make each other dinner.
Yeah.
You know?
No, that's understandable. This nice one says, "Dearest Jenna, please come back to the pod more often. The besties love and miss you."
I would love to come on the pod more often. I was telling Ashley, like, if we don't have to do video,
it's game changing.
It's game changing. Well, also, like,
I'm sorry to all the video girlies. There were 2 people that messaged me today and were like, "When are you bringing it back?" The truth is, genuinely, like, Cole has so much work on his plate right now. And even though it seems like just throwing the podcast together is like not that much work, which like in the grand scheme of the stuff he has to do, it's not, but it's like just one more thing. And I'm like, if I can make his life simple, I'm going to do that.
It's also just like, yeah, it's a lot. But I was telling Ashley, I was like, anytime, like, we could do like a call.
Yeah.
Like, we don't even have to be together because I have audio equipment too. Mm-hmm. So it's like, if we don't have to do that, I'm good. But
get me back up here.
Yeah. It was also so hard. Like, I mean, we're recording this at 10:30 p.m. because it's like, we got to wait till the kids are sleeping. And soon enough, you're going to have one too. And so it's like, it does get so hard of like, especially now, Monty, it's like, she's either has to be asleep or out of the house because she will be saying, "Mama," or just laughing and yelling and running around. Like,
the days of her hiding in the living room with Tanner and Cole are well over.
Oh, so over. She's
like, you can put on Little Bear, but yeah, she's running around. She's like happy and yelling in a good way, and like just those days are gone.
Yes. So it's like,
Jenna even was like, "So do you want to do nap time?" And I was like, "Why don't we do bedtime?" Because Monty doesn't nap that long, and we also talk for an hour and a half, and so it's like, let's just
yeah. And it's also so funny, like every time that you like need to do something or you're like counting on the nap,
that happens so many times when we were doing the podcast.
Like, she just won't go to sleep or something like that.
And it's like, well,
and it's like, she's actually gone to sleep every day for the past month, but now that you need to do something,
there was an episode she literally bounced in, like, she had to have been like 2 or 3 months old, just bounced in like her little carrier for the entire episode, didn't say a peep.
Multiple episodes like that.
Yeah, now she is yelling the Brother Bear song at the TV. It's like the best thing ever, but it's like, it's right next to where we usually record.
Yeah.
Okay. Someone said, "Will you be homeschooling your kids?"
Probably not.
Yeah.
Again, going, like, I just think that we have like really Analyzed what actually, like, I think there was such a trend with the crunchy stuff for like so long, and I do believe in a lot of it, but like I bought into just the whole realm of it, and I didn't ever think like, oh, I can pick and choose pieces of this that work for me.
Yeah.
So I definitely always thought I would homeschool, but now that I actually have kids, I don't know.
It's like the best parent is...
No one is a better parent than someone who doesn't have kids yet. Now that I actually have kids, one, I don't think specifically for Monty's personality that it would be healthy for her.
That's true.
To be homeschooled, only because I think that she really needs to be around other kids. And I think that we would have more of an unhealthy relationship, like in terms of like she would not be able to leave me.
Almost like codependent.
Yes. Which I know that ebbs and flows, but I can feel it in her personality that it's going to be hard for her to do that, and I think it's important for her to learn that independence. Secondly, I know people say like, oh, you can just buy curriculums or whatever. I just don't know if I have, like, I don't know if I feel like I could do as good of a job.
Yeah, no, that's fair.
There's a really, really good private school around here, and I would definitely, if we weren't in like a good school district, or if it was like no other option but public school, and not that I think our public school here is like not...
It's the one that you went to.
Yeah, it's a better public school than others have, but if that was my only option, maybe I would consider it more. But there's like some really, really good like private schools that I'm like, I've seen like the kids that come out of it, and they're extremely mature, extremely like well-rounded, and I just like really appreciate the way they do the education there. So I'm like, oh, I would feel really good about sending her there, and not just like, oh, I guess I'll do this.
Yeah.
I'm like, I think this would be better than like me being like, I don't remember how to do the times tables. So.
Yeah. It's just better. Like, it's truly, truly just a case by case, like, situation where literally I had a friend in high school. She was one of 3, and her 2 siblings went to our private school. She went to our private school for a little bit and then was homeschooled the rest of the time because she was constantly getting yelled at for just like doodling in class. And her parents were like, I think you need a less like intense and strenuous environment. She was more artsy and stuff, and so it gave her time to explore those things. And I just think it really is like a kid by kid, even family by family basis.
By kid, and like also different ages.
Yeah.
Like just because you go to like, yeah, you can homeschool when they're young and then send them to school, or opposite. Like you can really just do whatever. And also like I will never say never to anything, because it's like the amount of things that I said like that I wish I could take back. I'm like, I probably sound like a freaking idiot. Like the thing,
there probably was just moms that are just like, okay, like the same way that you are now, like, oh, you think that your baby's gonna travel with you 24/7. Of course, I hear that. And like just thinking about the moms that heard you say that.
yes Tanner and I talk a lot about like just the new parent phrases that people will say, like yeah, like, I don't know, he's just like, he's so chill. Like I feel like he's just gonna be really easy. It's like,
it's just his personality.
He's 2 weeks old, so
yeah, you talk to me, you call me at the 4-month sleep regression.
This one person like was telling me like, we really want to take our kid like to travel like a lot, like, and he was saying like, I was like, oh yeah, that'll be awesome and stuff, and he was like, do you feel like you could do that like with like both of yours? And I was like, yeah, well, yeah, I could do it. Do I want to do it right now? No. And he's like, well, what age do you think you like wanted to stop doing it? And I was like, you're just gonna have to see what happens
just have to
for
feel
you,
it out,
because
for you
know, it might be different for you. You don't know. And he's like, oh yeah, probably, because he's really chill. And I'm like, yeah. Yep.
1 month old.
Yep. Like,
I'm
take
sure
him
he
now,
is.
actually.
This is actually the best time to take it.
Take him right now. Go wherever you want right now.
Yeah, because once they're not sleeping and they're screaming, it's like it's not vacation anymore. Anyways.
Yes.
Will you get any more pets?
No.
Ever?
Probably not.
Wow.
Maybe in 15 years.
Okay.
I really don't think so, though.
That's fair. I mean, good on you for recognizing.
Yeah. I mean, if we had land and we could get like just like a nice golden retriever,
That's what Cole and I will get one day.
but he had like a really nice warm place to sleep, but it's outside of the house, or like it's in like a mud room, but he doesn't come into the house.
Yeah.
We've just been traumatized by Buddy's last years as
That's
an
fair.
old dog, just, you know, peeing and pooping all over everything constantly and like drooling, like ruining all our furniture.
Yeah.
It doesn't need, we don't,
There's nothing wrong
it's
with not
not-
desiring that one, like for any other day.
especially when you have young kids. It's like, I don't need that like relationship with a pet
Yeah.
because I have children to care for, you know?
Yeah.
I could, I'll get a fish for sure.
Monty will have a fish one day.
Yes,
Yeah.
she would love to have a fish.
Yes.
And like if the kids
Deer come to the yard all the time.
yeah,
That's your pet.
yeah, yeah. If the kids wanted to get like a turtle or something that could like be outside, like yeah, I would do that.
You're
But
like, I don't care.
I would not get like a long-term investment pet where it's like, okay, you're committing to this for like 15 years.
Oh yeah, there is a girl that we both follow. She's not really an influencer, but maybe she is. A girl we both follow on Instagram, and their family got a bunny, and I was like, absolutely not. Like, how long are bunnies living for?
No. I had a bunny.
Oh really? How
I
long
don't
did it
know
live
if I
for?
ever told this in college. I had to get rid of it. I had to hide it from my college roommate. We lived together in the same apartment, and the bunny lived only in my room.
Was that from like your childhood?
No, I just got it in college. I literally found it on like Craigslist or something, and I went and got it in an Uber. I didn't
Oh
have a
my
car.
gosh.
Just got this bunny cage. Like they gave me the cage and the bunny, and like I just kept it in my room, and like I just didn't let it out, and like I didn't let it out of my room, but like it would like escape from its cage and like poop in my bed, and like
Ew.
it was just like not. I had it for like 3 weeks, and then I resold it on Craigslist.
You like take this thing, please.
Yeah, but my roommate would like, if she ever found out, she would have freaked out on me. But
Nice.
yeah, no to the pets.
No to the pets. How many more kids do you want?
I would definitely at least 2 more.
Yeah.
After that, it's like,
Let's just really fill this out.
yes.
4 is a good number. 6 as a family is a good number.
6 as a family. We always said 5 to 6 kids. I think that it has I just think like the 2 back-to-back pregnancies is very hard on my body, and also like of course like not sleeping like during all of that and everything. The sleep thing has just kind of traumatized me, and so I'm just like I definitely want to like reprioritize like my health.
Yeah.
Well,
Because literally you were like, you got pregnant in 22 and had her in 2022. You breastfed and were recovering for 9 months.
I had literally 1 month that I did not have.
Literally,
that I wasn't
was my
breastfeeding.
main point.
Yes.
Is that like your body was like producing for Monty, and then it was like 1 month off, and here we go again.
Yes. And so I think that was really hard on my body. Of course, also like being sleep deprived. I have not slept through the night, like going back to being pregnant with her, because of like peeing a lot and like
Yeah.
pregnancy insomnia and stuff like that. So like it's been like a good like 2.5 years that I have never once like slept through the night. And so that in itself, I'm like, I cannot get pregnant again. I mean, who knows what's going to happen, but like I would like to know that both kids are
Sleeping.
most of the time sleeping through the night. I don't expect it to be constant, but like we have like a good routine that like I can see that, because I need to recover from that. But yeah, I would like 2 to 4 more.
2 to 4 more.
more kids. Yeah.
Okay. Well,
Like
you
between 4 and 6 kids.
Okay.
But I always said I would want to do 5 because you can fit 5 kids in like a 3-row car. But then once you get to 6 kids, you have to buy like a van.
Yeah, it really throws it over.
Yes. So I would like 5.
Okay. Do you, kind of going off of that, do you feel like, what will this next age gap be? Obviously, like, will it just go off of like both of them sleeping through the night?
Yes. And also we would really like to do some trips with both of them. Before I have another. So maybe I would say like, I mean, I truly have no idea. Like,
and that's okay. We can just leave it open.
Yeah, it could change at the drop of a hat. Like, I don't want to say that I would make like a super spontaneous decision, but it's like, I could see it being like a 2-year age gap. I could also see us like waiting and it being a 3-year age gap. Or, yeah.
But you're not trying to do like another.
No, I'm not trying to do another 18-month thing.
Yeah.
I don't think that would be healthy for me.
No, that's totally fair. Are you still liking Ligonier?
Yes. Ligonier has gotten so much better for us, actually. I know.
Did he say he's going to bed? Or he said it's time for bed? What did you say?
I said it's time for bed.
Yeah, literally. They asked so many questions.
Ligonier has gotten way better. We found a lot more community and we have found a great church. Good. So we love it. And a lot of new businesses are opening and just really spicing it up.
Tub Mill opening really was a game changer.
Ashley, the amount of times that I say to Tanner, genuinely, I don't think that a business has ever actually changed my life as much as it has. It is amazing.
Yeah. I feel
the
like
big thing is that they have raw milk there.
It's literally
and
5
farm
minutes.
meats, and I do not have to drive and plan my whole day around going to get milk. Monty drinks. We go through a gallon of raw milk in like 3 days.
Yeah.
Between the 3 of us. So it's like I was having to plan, had to call the place, see if they had raw milk, and then like taking both of them out to go get it. Like that would have been a whole thing, but it's right there.
It's right there.
And it has food, and it has like
not even just food, but like good food and pastries,
good food,
and
drinks.
Yeah.
And it's like so kid friendly because they have like different like areas that aren't like tables. Like they have like just like chairs and like rugs.
Yeah.
So she can
it's
like
cozy.
Yes, she can like walk around and like not be strapped in a high chair.
Yeah, that's really nice.
We don't go out to eat anymore because
we
like
just go to Tub Mill.
the high chair thing is like not like she doesn't like it.
Yeah.
But like if we can go to like a place where she can like hang out and like chill, she like if there's like couches or like a
she just wants to
area,
feel apart.
Yes, she doesn't want to feel strapped into a high chair, so that really helps.
Yeah, that's nice. Do you and Ashley disagree on any child or birth related things?
I don't think so.
I don't think so either.
Well, I feel like both of us are like, whatever you want to do.
I was going to say, you can't disagree when I don't have beliefs.
I am just coasting through.
Literally just coasting through.
I feel like both of us are just like, have the mindset of like, whatever's going to work best for you.
Exactly.
And like, I think we both are very like aware that every child is different and everything is going to be different for each kid.
I mean, truly, I feel like I always was kind of this way, like just from having like older friends that like have kids already and like some older kids. But I feel like, no offense, in watching you, I've just been like, oh, you literally just have to literally keep everything open-handed. Like, I was already kind of leaning that way, and then seeing the ebbs and flows of everything with Monty, I'm just like, okay, nothing's ever real. Like, it could literally be amazing for like 4 months, and then it like takes a turn.
Mm-hmm. And each day, even like today was such a good day and like such an easy day. But like yesterday I told you, like she tantrumed for like 30 minutes straight and I couldn't stop it. And it's like, okay, like that's just how it is. Like it's fine. You just literally go through and just try to find the good in each moment.
Yeah. I thought that question was interesting, but I'm like,
That's actually why we're not friends anymore.
Yeah, I said that she was a horrible parent.
That would be crazy.
That would be so crazy. It would be crazy to say that as someone that doesn't have a kid.
I know. That would be so
Be like, Jenna,
helpful.
I've nannied though. I've nannied.
Yeah. So I don't know if you know, I've actually, when I was 13, I babysat.
Babysat. I've never had to like spend the night and take care of a kid. I mean, that's not true for myself, but not consistently. But I know what Monty needs when it comes to sleep.
Just put on white noise, okay? Wait, my one friend whose kids actually don't sleep, like actually way worse than Monty. Her dad said, just try playing gentle music for her. And she was like, bye. Wait, I actually need to share this story really quick. I know we're like just talking so much. So I shot my first wedding back on Saturday.
Oh, I know this is going.
We get to the church and there's like these two older women who are like the church coordinators. And I'm wearing like this loose dress. It's like a trad wife dress. Everyone knows what that means.
You just triggered them.
Yeah, so true. So I'm wearing this dress and this like older one of the church coordinators comes up to me and she goes, I just have to ask.
Oh, I didn't know it was a coordinator. I thought it was just a guest.
No, it was a church lady. She's like saying it in like a way that it's like, she's like excited. She's like, I have to ask, are you pregnant? I'm like, nope. I actually was very just taken aback and I just went like, oh, no, I just had a baby, actually. And she's like,
I was pregnant.
She's like, oh. And she like looks kind of down.
You have to send me the photo to let me post it. Of
just like what I looked like that day?
What you posted on your story.
I will. She like kind of like points at my stomach. She's like, oh, I just thought like because. And then she's like, how long ago? Like, just, she's kind of like flustered.
Oh my gosh, point. If it's more than 6 months, I just mean, like, you look
so bad. I was like, 5 weeks. She goes, oh, well, you look good then. I'm like, oh, thanks. First of all, like, ew. I look
amazing.
Normal. I look like there's no question like if I was pregnant or not. Like the fact that she asked that is wildly insane.
I literally, if I see like
bloated, maybe
if I see a 39-week pregnant person, I'm not asking if they're pregnant. I don't care. I'm terrified. So the fact that being 5 weeks postpartum, where literally you looked like you had nothing, and that was what was crazy to me, is the photo that you posted of the dress you were wearing too was so flowy. It's not like it was form-fitting where it would be like, oh my gosh, the tiniest. No, it wasn't. It wasn't there. The fact that she was so bold enough to say that.
I looked like a little bit bloated.
Yeah,
like I do still have like a little tiny bit of like a belly, but it's like, again, it like almost just looks like I'm like kind of bloated. And that is not to brag at all. And everyone recovers in different ways. I totally get that. But I know that I did not look pregnant. Mm-hmm. So she was like, oh, wow. How long ago? I was like, 5 weeks. She's like, oh, you look good then. I'm like, thanks.
Oh, thanks. You were so the judge. Much. What did Shayla say? Because I know that she was your second shooter that day. And she probably was like, that was so rude.
Well, I like texted it to her because it was like kind of like mid-ceremony. And we weren't like together. And she was like, I can't remember what she said, but she was just like, that is insane. But yeah, I was just like so shocked that she said that. And then after that, and then I was like, yeah, I actually have two. And I said something like that. She's like, oh, you look too young. I'm like, you're really getting at me for all my things. A hole. Also, my parents invited this guy over the other night for dinner that was like one of their friends. And then he said like, oh, so how old are your daughters? And they like said or whatever. And then he like looked at me. He's like, and you're the one that has two kids? I was like, yeah.
You're not the 20-year-old.
He's like, you look 18. It's like, thanks.
Now pushing 28, how do you feel about that? Because that's obviously been a point of contention your whole life.
I'm starting to be like, okay.
It's a vibe.
That's fine. You can think that. That's totally fine.
That's fine. Yeah.
I would rather that. At this point,
yeah.
Then people be like, oh yeah,
that's clear.
Yeah.
Yeah, you look like you're 28. Literally. Okay, I'm only gonna pick a few more because
Yeah.
it is literally past bedtime. Someone asked what you liked this one. Does Monty have an iPad?
Oh my gosh, no.
Yeah.
Monty is allowed to watch she's allowed to watch shows that were made like before 2000 on the big screen.
The big screen.
And occasionally, in a bad moment, she will watch a show, Little Bear, in the car on like a mounted. I have like a phone mount that goes on like the back of the seat for like traveling, or if it's just like a time when I'm like, it's pushing bedtime, I need her to stay awake, or if I'm like, I know that she's going to lose her mind because we're leaving this really fun thing. She'll watch a show in the car, but she's really good in the car normally. But no, she does not have an iPad, and that is no judgment towards people whose kids do have iPads, but I would really like to avoid giving personal devices. That is like where I would like to draw the line.
Yeah, that's fair.
We definitely like did a lot more screen time, like right when we brought Silas home, or like if she's sick or like whatever, like we'll do more screens, but I limit it to it's on the big screen of the TV.
Yeah, that's fair.
She never like watches
distance.
Like my phone or like plays a game on my phone or anything.
Oh, so sorry if you heard my throat make that noise. Okay, we'll end with this one. I think this is really, like, you've obviously talked like this whole time about motherhood. How is motherhood going? What is your favorite part and the hardest part?
Oh my gosh, that's gonna make me cry. All of the cliches are so true that people say. I feel like my favorite part truly is seeing them grow up. And like, especially obviously Silas is still a little baby,
Just a little
but
guy.
like Monty, seeing her go from the baby to then just like this like little like thing, and then like seeing her go through all this hard stuff and like struggling so much, and then like now seeing her start to come out on the other side of it with like this hilarious personality, and like she's walking. I also didn't add onto that she had very delayed walking, and like we were having to like try to like get her in with all these therapists and blah blah blah. She can walk now, it's fine.
I was gonna say that I didn't want to make you talk about it if you didn't want to, but that was also, she wasn't walking right before you gave birth, and that was really stressing you out.
Yeah, and she was 19 months, and it's like people's kids are walking at 9 months.
Yeah.
And it's like, okay, so now I'm carrying you around everywhere, and you won't let me put you down, and you're miserable, and I'm miserable, and we're not sleeping. Like, it was so hard. But now she's walking everywhere and just talking so much, interacting with, getting so friendly, like just doing things I never ever would have thought she would do. Like seriously, 2 or 3 months ago, I thought that like my life was imploding. Like I was like, how am I ever going to do this? She can't, like she hates life. Like she's just so unhappy. And now she's like we went to concerts in the Diamond. She literally has my ice cream in her hand, is carrying it around, walking up to other kids and like laughing at them and hugging them and running around and seeing dogs and petting them and going up to random people and saying hi. And it's like, I never in a million years would have thought that she would do that ever. Yeah. Especially did I not think it was going to happen so fast. Thought maybe in a year she'll like talk to other kids. Yeah. And it's just like she's just doing so well. And like just seeing that is just so amazing. And then of course just like the little moments of like seeing the fruit of your labor, like whenever she just like hugs you just so sweetly and just like says like mama, it's just so sweet. The hardest part is the problem solving. It is endless questioning, what is the thing that made this bad thing happen, and how do I fix it? And then you go online and it's like, well, it's because they ate gluten. And then it's like, well, actually, it's because your child 3 hours before they do this activity should be doing this activity. Like, there's
too much information.
Way too much information. And then you're always questioning, well, what if it actually was that? And what if they actually are, like, they don't have enough magnesium in their diet? Like, there's just so many things that's constantly like a new question of why are they doing this. Even just the sleep in general, it's always like, well, like, can we try to look and see if there's a new tooth? Like, there's just always like there's always problem solving. Always. Breastfeeding, huge problem solving every day. Like, how can this, maybe they're not latching right because they have a tongue tie, maybe it's this. Like, there's just so many things always, and
you're just left wondering.
Yes. And even now in toddlerhood, like, okay, what's the best method of discipline? And like, you go on Instagram, there's 1,000, and it's just going to get more and more as they get older. Like, how are we going to solve the fact that someone said this to you at school? Like, how do you handle this situation?
It is like crazy to think about by the time she's a teenager, just how much more information will be available for her age group.
Yes.
And like how to handle this. It's like, if you're not doing this with your teenage daughter, then you're a terrible parent. Like,
literally, I know. And that is kind of like the thing that really helps me get through like these hard like days without sleep and toddler tantrums and everything, is just being like, oh wow, like not even a teenager, just a 5-year-old. One day she's gonna be a 5-year-old. One day I'm not going to be stressing about her taking a nap, because she's not going to need to take a nap because she's going to be 8. Like,
and she's going to go to school and she's going to learn. And like,
and one day it's like going to be her wedding day. And it's just like,
do you sob at weddings now during like father-daughter dances and stuff?
Honestly, no, because I'm always like, you guys, like, no one is going to be as emotional as me and Tanner during those things. Like, whenever the parents are just dancing with the kid, I'm like, you're not sobbing? You're nothing like me.
Literally, how are you not sobbing your eyes out?
How? Literally how? The last wedding on Saturday, the dad was really, really emotional during the first look. And I was like, okay, that does kind of make me tear up, because I'm like, that actually will be us.
Yeah.
But whenever I see the dad just be like, oh, honey, you look beautiful, I'm like,
no, I did a
can't
first,
relate.
No, I did a first look a couple weeks ago at this point, and the dad was like, she was like, what do you think? And he was like, you look nice. And I was like, goodbye. Literally goodbye.
Goodbye. If there's not a tear in your eye, at least one.
My parents, I did like a first look. I mean, my mom had seen me, but I did like a first look with my dad, like mainly, but my mom stayed there. And they both were crying, but like tastefully, because if you're like sobbing, I'm like, I don't know how to console you right now in my white dress. But like, it was a very tasteful cry.
We love a tasteful cry in any scenario.
Yeah. All right. Well, that just about does it. I feel like. Anything else you want to say?
No, hopefully. I just hope that like being real about things that have been happening can help someone to feel less alone, because I feel like that was a huge like problem, or just like hard thing for me, is that I felt like no one else was going through anything. And I think that is obviously, our qualm with social media is like, well, it seems like everyone is doing good. But even just people in my life, even just talking to my mom, like, or anyone, it would just be like, yeah, I don't know, like, my kids never did that. Or like, well, my kids just like, I would be like, well, did you have to like sleep train them? Did you have to let them cry? No, they just started sleeping through the night one day.
Yeah.
And it's like, I just felt so lonely. And so hopefully, like, I never want to come off that I'm like complaining, or like that I am being like, this is too hard, or this sucks, or anything like that. But like, I just hope that like someone can feel less alone if they are going through something hard. And yeah.
Any other resources, you mentioned that book.
Oh, that book is so good. It's called Hard Is Not the Same Thing as Bad by Abby Halberstadt. And then she also has a podcast called M is for Mama, which I don't love that name. But she is like the wisest. She's a Christian.
She is mother.
She is amazing. And then I also really like, this is not like super specific to parenting, but it does have parenting things in it. As for Me and My House podcast, that is very like just encouraging of the family life in general. And it's also Christian. And also the Bible app has really good devos.
Yeah.
For motherhood.
Literally for anything.
Yes. There was one that I did on there called like Enjoying Motherhood. That was a really good one.
Nice.
Yeah.
All right. Well, thanks for coming on.
I feel like our voices have slowly gotten like
I know.
softer.
It's literally, so I mean, the run time was an hour and a half.
Okay.
And which like in the last episode, Cole and I were joking because I was like, oh, I'm so sorry. Like we ran long. And then I was like, I make the rules. Like, I don't know why I'm apologizing.
I always want podcasts to be longer.
Yeah.
Well, I shouldn't say that because like, I know like, is it Joe Rogan that does like 2.5 hours, 3 hours?
Literally can go up to 5 sometimes.
I would never listen to that. But like, I would love any podcast like under 2 hours, especially one that I like. I'm like, I'll listen endlessly.
Give it to me.
Yeah.
I wish the Bad Broadcast was longer.
Oh my gosh, she is the best. If you don't listen to her, please listen to her. The best vibes. She is hilarious.
But Jenna will be back on more, of course.
Yes.
But yeah, I don't know if there's anything else to add. Next week is Joey. I'm super excited.
That's going to be so good.
Yeah. So I think I said this in the last episode. We keep open submissions available on Instagram for you to go and submit anytime. Like we post them on the stories and then they sit in our highlights. And so go check it out. Go write Joey a question for next week. And yeah, we'll see Jenna very soon.
Bye.
Bye, guys.